Hey guys, PLV here and welcome back to my channel for another video. So very often I'm receiving messages asking me which plugins I use or which VST instruments that I have or which free sample packs I found. So I just thought that I would just show you everything that I have in my DAW so you can see what I use to create my song and maybe find some new tools for you to create your own songs. Obviously, being a beginner, I didn't spend thousands of dollars onto these, so there will be plenty of free options for you, so let's go. Alright, so first things first, you can see that when I open my DAW, which is FL Studio for now, I have a template already loaded up for me. It evolved since I started, but after making songs after songs, I realized that I was losing a lot of time by coloring the same tracks, assigning the same tracks to the same bus, grouping them, so I decided to make a template for myself to win some time. I separate the mixer and the playlist in 6 categories. You have the vocals, the instruments, the bass and subs, the drums, the effects, and the ambience loops. It is the same in the mixer. You have the vocals, the instruments, the bass, the drums, the effects, and the ambience again, and they all have the same color as they have in the playlist to keep organized. As you can see as well, all the tracks are routed to their respective buses with the same colors. For the instruments bus, I also separate it in the chords and in the leads, so I can have more control for all the instruments. I also added a few extra buses, which is the reverb, delay, and sidechairs. In the playlist, you have a few rows in each category, so you can have enough space for all your instruments, or all your drums, or your bass. And when you're working on big projects like this one, for example, it really helps keeping track of everything that's happening and knowing where everything is really easily. I know that all my drums are here, all my effects down here, and all my instruments are here and all my vocals over there, and it really helps my mind to keep things clear and think clearly for my songs. If you like this template and would like to use it for yourself, it'll be in the description as a free download for you. Okay, so on the instruments and VST side of things, I've been using a lot Vital and Serum. Serum I've been using pretty much all the time for synth, plugs, pads, and stuff like this. And Vital is pretty much the free version of Serum, and it has as many good things that Serum has. And there's more and more free presets packs that are coming on the internet about Vital, so I found that to be very helpful to start getting into Vital and sound design. On a side little thing, Vital is quite heavy, I found, and often makes my DAW like to crash, but not that often, just a little bit, so I just wanted to mention this, that it's quite a heavy plugin. But on the free side of things for synth, I found Surge, and comes with a ton of presets, as you can see right now. And if you take enough time to look into it and actually try and tweak stuff or mix the sounds, you can actually find some good hidden gems and find some unique sounds. For the pianos, I found a lot of free ones that works great for me for now, but my favorite is Keyzone Classic. It has a few choice of piano styles, so I really like that. Otherwise, I got Addictive Keys Studio Grand for free with my Focusrite audio interface, and also Labs, which has a very good soft piano sound that I love. And I also have the Contact library, like free library, factory selection, complete start, which also has a few pianos in there. Then the only piano that I actually bought is this one, the Woodchester piano, but you gotta believe me, the sound was just too beautiful for the music, ambience and vibe that I want to produce at the moment, so I just had to use it. Also, while we are talking about Labs and Contact libraries, I also wanted to mention that they come with a lot of instruments, not just keyboards, like guitars and strings, which are really beautiful in all of them, so they're really helpful for this and they're free, so get it. Now for the guitars, I do have this Ample Guitar M2 Lite, which is free and is great for just picked acoustic melodies. But for the strummed ones, I never found anything good, so I actually ended up buying one, which is the one in Contact by Native Instruments, and the guy is called Session Guitarist. It's the one called Strummed Acoustic, and it was just so worth it, and I use it a lot, so I'm really happy that I bought this one, because I really didn't find any free options for that. For the bass, if it's an electronic one, I'm gonna use Serum and Vital for sure, but if I want something more acoustic sounding, like real bass sounding, I have the Ample Bass P-Lite 2, which works really well. Now for the strings, my go-to plugin is usually Labs because they have really good sounding strings like these ones. But I also use a FL Studio native plugin called Flex because they have great string sound, so I've been using it quite often, to be honest. Now I also found a nice little free plugin called Iota Mini, which I use a lot in like future bass and very like emotional stuff because it's like it's angelic vibes really, and they have like some plugs, some pads, some keys, synth, guitar, bells, like it's really just beautiful. And then the last plugin that I want to talk to you about, but I'm really not proud of that, is that I actually bought Arcade, but accidentally. I tried the free version for a week and then forgot to stop it, so they actually charged me the year, so I have the year subscription for it, but I never use it because I just don't know how to use it and I cannot find anywhere on how to use that thing. So if anyone does know, please let me know in the comments because I really need to start to get into it and know how to use that one. So yeah, for now I'm not really happy with that one, but I thought that I had to mention it because that's one that is in my DAW. I just don't use it for now, but I really need to. And I think that's it for the instruments. So as you can see, I found a lot of free stuff, but also had to pay sometimes for some where I didn't find free options, but I always try to find the free options first. Alright, now for the plugins. Let's do by categories. For gain staging, the first thing I do in all my tracks is using 3D balance. I put it as the first effect and usually my last effect to control the gain staging, the volume and the gain. Then for the EQ, I usually just use the 3D parametric EQ2, which works really good for me most of the time. But if I want a dynamic EQ, I usually use the TDR Nova. And the last one that I use is the one included in Ozone Elements, which has the mid-side and left-right options, which are sometimes really helpful. So if I need this, I use this one and make sure to turn off Maximizer and Imager, so I use only the EQ. TDR Nova is free and Ozone Elements is not free, but I got it during a sale at Isotope, so keep your eyes peeled for those because they happen really often. Now for the distortion and saturation plugins, I use a lot, then all of them were free except one. So all the ones I use are Camel Crusher, Guitar Rig 6, Fresh Air, which is really my all-time favorite right now, Temper, which I use sometimes but not very often, Saturation Knob, which is a free little plugin, quite useful, and the 3D Wave Shaper that I found out about recently and actually works really well. Then the only one that I paid is the Decapitator. Now in the compressors category, I use different ones depending on its purpose. The free options that I use are obviously just the 3D compressor. I have a one called Rough Rider, which I kinda like. The TDR, and the name is gonna be very complicated, Kotelnikov, which I usually use for, I think, mostly mastering. Then obviously the almighty OTT. And then I got the H-Comp one from Waves, which I got for free thanks to Beautiful Beats, so thanks for that. But my point here is that Waves often do some sales, like 24 hours of free plugins, so keep your eyes for those because they happen really often and you can get those plugins for free, which is awesome. Then I paid 2 compressors that I needed for vocals, and the first one is RVox, and then the second one is the LA, which I really like on vocals. And they were really not that expensive. I also have a few more plugins that would go in the modulation effects categories. And in there I have things like Little Altar Boy, which I love using on dreamy kind of vocal chops. I also have Crush, which is a bit crush. I also have the vocal doubler for vocals, which really helps sometimes. And the Isotope vinyl. All of these were free as well, except the Little Altar Boy that I paid, but I'm really happy I did because it's a great plugin. Oh, and I think I got it at a 90% off as well, so once again, look out for those sales. For the delay and reverb, my go-to plugin these days is Valhalla Supermassive, which I really love. But I also use the old 3D reverb too. Valhalla Supermassive is free, and I think it's like the free alternative of the Valhalla reverb. I also have the Sematics Space Light, which is helpful sometimes, and also use the 3D Delay 3 just for some basic delay stuff. For the limiters, I only have the one included in Ozone Elements, which is called Maximizer, And to be honest, until now, I really love it. It worked perfectly on my mastering, and I even think that it improved the mastering that I was doing before. So I'm really happy with it. And once again, this one I got it free at a sale, so that was perfect. Then let's talk stereo imager. I have a couple that I use for this, which I really love. And my favorite and go-to at the moment is Wider. I really like this one. I also have Pancake 2, which is to automate go left to right the panning, and I use it a lot as well, like I love it. Those two are free, and I also got Spread for free, which has a bit more options to separate the low, mids and highs depending on like if you want them on the side or on the middle. And then I also have the Ozone imager that is given for free by Isotope. So yeah, all of these were free. Also very important, the sidechain. For the sidechain, I use Kickstart and Shaperbox 2, which both are paid plugins, but I think were very useful. The Shaperbox came with a lot of other things, so I was really happy to have it, and I use it quite a lot. But the Kickstart is pretty cheap, so if you just want a quick little sidechain plugin, just go for this one. What I liked with Shaperbox as well is that I found it has like way more options to have the curve that you want for the sidechain, and that I find really useful when sidechaining my bass to my kick. Finally, I use some analyzers when doing mixing and mastering to reference my songs to other tracks. And for this, I use two free ones that are Span for the frequency spectrum. And then I also use the Yulin loudness meter to calculate my loudness compared to my reference tracks. And I think that's it for the plugins that I use. Alright, so now I know how you guys love the free sample packs, free preset packs, and I found a lot, so here they are. If I go to my samples, the most obvious and famous ones are obviously the Somatics, or the Ghost Hack, or EDM Prod, which have free ones as well. There is In The Mix. What do I have more? There's also Slate Digital that have a lot of free sample packs, but I think you need to be on their newsletter to be aware of these, so that's a good tip. Styx as well is a guy that does a lot of presets and sample packs, and I didn't know him before. It's actually a very good hidden gem. He has a lot of good ones. I downloaded the ones that were on the music genre that I like at the moment. And you also have WA Production as well. Also, sometime if you check the description of the YouTubers, they also have some like free versions of their paid packs, which are just smaller versions of the paid packs. But yeah, MHS, Severman, In The Mix, they all have this, so that's also a good place to look. And also it might interest you in actually buying their paid versions packs, which also help supporting them, so that's a good thing. Then if you spend some time networking with people or talking with your fellow producers on Instagram, YouTube or stuff like this, you can find some hidden gems like I did with Hectic's Production, for example. They're here. They are very new and just started their sample pack, so they are giving a lot for free, but they are really good, so that's another way to find some. And finally, my favorite one is Splice. I honestly really love Splice. This is honestly where I get 80% of my samples for my songs. It is a monthly subscription, there's different levels, and I think it's quite cheap enough for the quality and the quantity of what you get. It is so worth the money. Really, Splice saves all my songs. Another thing that I learned about Splice recently is that it's not only samples, they also have presets, and this is awesome. So yeah, for me, Splice is really worth the money. Alright, so this one is a little trick that I got from Kaigo. He explains that over the years he created his own library of sounds that he uses all the time, but it also helps you to define your own sound signature as you evolve as an artist. So in this folder here, I saved all the presets and sounds that I use often, like this lead that you might recognize from Still Alive. What is great is that it saves all the knobs that you tweaked and your sound is ready to go. Alright, there you go. Now you know everything that I have in my DAW to create my own songs. And I hope that this video was helpful to you to find new tools that you would like to try on your next songs. I also wanted to show you that there is a lot of free options available to you, but that you don't need to have all of them either. I've noticed that as beginners, we are often looking for the new plugins or like too many new instruments because we think that we don't have the good ones. But if you learn how to mix them properly or how to treat your sound properly, you don't need that much and you can do already a lot with what you have. Maybe I'll even do a video on the basic mixing skills that I've learned so far if it interests you. Let me know in the comments and I'll do it. But in the meantime, you can watch this video to learn more tips and tricks from Illenium, and keep learning, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.